been cases
Right.
where further on down the funnel, as you get to, I do see some companies, they're hesitant to test in some of the most impactful places. If you have the volume, test your
Yeah.
checkout flow.
Yeah.
But if something goes wrong, if you pull the WYSIWYG in and you don't thoroughly QA it, or you don't understand, like, you don't want to take down revenue for any amount of time.
Yeah, so let's talk about that a little bit because especially as you're getting started with a new optimization tool or program, that's one of the things that I've heard a lot from executives, from site producers. Yeah, go ahead and experiment with this, but please, please, please don't touch our most important areas of the site. But what ends up happening is they're like, go test this like section of the blog that literally no one goes to, so there's no risk. And so it's a bad experience. There's no learnings really to come from. It's not
Yeah.
impactful. And so the very start of this program, which we're all excited about, kind of is a wah wah wah. Do we have sound effects, Jim? Like, it's kind of a big meh. And so we
Yeah.
kind of lose some of that opportunity. So I get it. I get kind of the risk factors, but especially as you're starting out, how do you balance that? Because again, I've heard it so often. Yeah, get started, but don't go anywhere near like the most important areas of our site.
Yeah, and I can understand that. If I'm the vice president of e-commerce, I may not want my first A/B test to be in the checkout flow, but I'm going to go back to process again, because part of the process is building out a roadmap, and part of that roadmap, um, in my opinion, should show somewhat of a crawl, walk, run approach. And you could say to the organization, hey, let's start with a crawl, right? We're gonna test this out, make sure everything works well. And you can start with like a simple AA test just to make sure the data flows through. That's one way to do it. But then you can map out, like, here's how we want to progress. We want to start with these type of tests. Um, Once we prove that the process works, we're seeing data, we're not disrupting any experiences, then we can move on. We can move deeper into the funnel. We can get to like the product detail page, or some or search results page, and then eventually get down to the checkout flow. Um, I at a previous company, we did a whole checkout redesign, for a real small mattress company, and the test was amazing. I mean, the lift we saw from just a couple basic changes on I think it was, if I recall correctly, it was like the first step in the flow of checkout. Huge impact on revenue. So but I think, you're right. You're not going to get there right out of the gate. I don't think any senior level executives would say, yeah, I'm okay with that. But I think if you show a solid plan and a process in place, um, that can be done. And the QA point is huge, right? It's easy to skip it's easy to skip QA or not do QA properly. And when I say QA, I not just before a test launch, but right after it launches, right? You want to make sure everything still looks good after that. Prove out the QA process, and show the executives, like, what this is how we work. And by the way, if something does happen, which we don't want it to happen, we can flip a switch and turn it off and go back to the default, like that. But there has to be some sort of monitoring in place, to make that happen.
Yeah.